Have you ever felt like you try really hard, put in a lot of effort, and still don't get what you want? Or on the other hand, you do get what you want? Still, after a while, you feel frustrated, you feel like what you want isn't really what you get, that what you dreamed of isn't really what fulfills you. In other words, if you've ever felt frustrated, like you do things but don't achieve anything, this video is for you. What I'm going to reveal to you today is impressive. It's a technique from neuro-linguistic programming, neuroscience. It's amazing. You'll be able to understand how, by changing your beliefs, how to change. And this isn't very difficult. That is, the exercise is very easy. You have to work on it. But the exercise itself is very easy. Like if you change your way of believing, your way of thinking. There are basically three theories that I'm going to explain to you in a very simple way. If God wills it, if you can change that way, your life can really change 180 degrees for the better. Impressive. I want to start. If you allow me to tell you a real story, I'll tell you in my own words. As I remember it, it's a spectacular story about an artist named Carmen Herrera, very famous. But there's something very interesting about her story, and I think it has a lot to do with what we're talking about. Do you know when? She sold her first piece of art at 89 years old, and she became an international painter. Her works are in famous museums in New York, in London. I mean, a painter of spectacular international magnitude. But that fame came more than 50 years after she started painting. Therefore, we have to consider that Carmen Herrera, a Cuban American who later lived in the United States, if I understand correctly, she started painting when she was around 30 years old, and only at the age of 89 did she sell her first major work. And obviously, that transition of almost 60 years of being unknown or unrecognized or completely anonymous as an artist brings us an incredible lesson. There are some phrases from her that I will try to remember as I recall them, phrases from her that can give us incredible insight and inspire us tremendously. For what I want to teach you today, therefore, here we see something incredible. I'm going to tell you a phrase, and this phrase will accompany us for what I want to teach you today, which is the model. I'll keep teaching you, but I'll tell you the phrase. In English, be, do, and have refer to be, to do, and to have. I'll soon explain what I mean, which is both simple and powerful. Thank you. That's a phrase that Carmen Herrera said. It was said that basically anonymity allowed her to paint without being influenced by the market. I mean, think about someone who is famous, who is recognized, and whose work is recognized in some way. He has a kind of dilemma inside. Surely everyone does to some extent. But basically, on one hand, the artist, for example, wants to live his art, to be the original artist. But on the other hand, there is a market that is waiting. The work that he showed previously and was successful. Therefore, here is a dilemma whether to please the market, maybe a little, relegating one's art to a more original and pure level or not. That is, I am an artist, I will make my art. And those who like it, and those who don't, don't. Perfect, my art doesn't depend on the market. And she said that she's been painting daily for about 60 years practically. I mean, she had a painting routine. Someone really serious. Who loved them, lived a long life, more than 100 years, loved lines, straight lines. That is, she had a very, very unique art, and she loved her art without depending on the market. Impressive. Therefore, the freedom she gave to her art, not being recognized, being in artistic anonymity, gave her an impressive freedom. Now I want to go to the Bidu Hub, God willing. I'll keep talking about Carmen Herrera, as I think she is one of the key figures. There are many very inspiring stories, but I think this story fits. Perfect fit for our class. It's the Bidu Hub of neuro-linguistic programming or neuro-linguistic programming. Bidu Hub, we're going to work on this concept with the story of Carmen Herrera. It's the Bidu Hub. How I define myself, how I feel, do is what I do, and L is what I have. Very well, let's see. You have to understand that if you observe how people behave, they don't behave. In the Biduhab, what does Biduhab mean? Let's talk about Carmen Herrera, the Biduhabist. She defined herself as a pure artist. That's how I put it in my own words, meaning an artist who didn't compromise her art to please the market. She was, V means to be in English, an artist for herself, so Bidudu translates as to do. Therefore, she made her art in relation to who she was, not in relation to what others told her. And the Hab is what she had. For almost 60 years, she didn't get recognition. At 89 years old, she finally got recognition. Therefore, having was not the starting point of her actions and thoughts. But what happens if we observe a lot of people? Many people don't consider Biduhab. They usually just think of Hab. Do we? For example, if we're talking about an artist, another artist says success when I have success, when I sell my first painting, for example. That's when I'm really going to make paintings that have to do with the market, that have to do with my art. I'll do it, but I need to succeed first. Someone has to recognize me, because if people don't recognize me, no, I'm not going to do it. And I saw it. So I'm going to be happy, I'm going to feel good about my art, and therefore that's going to allow me to be a great artist. Therefore, the second example, the first one, is the person who says, well, when I have success, that's when we'll start talking, I'll do something then. Carmen Herrera said, I didn't see it first. I'm an artist. I don't care about success. Success came to her at 89 years old. Eventually it came, but it might not have. She lived without depending on success. Success, thank God, came to her perfectly, but it wasn't something she depended on. The person who puts the first, the Hab. The I want success so I can do things and therefore feel good about myself, happy, or whatever feeling you want to put there. That's a completely different story. And many people, if you observe, might operate like this, not like Carmen Herrera, at least not in her art. Or many people might think first, or maybe you now, while I'm telling you this, you can reflect with yourself, where are you? If you're someone who says, well, if I have this, then I'll start doing things and then I'll feel happy, for example. Or another way is, I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to do a lot. For example, someone says, I'm going to study hard, get a degree, and earn a master's. After that, a doctorate, then a postdoctorate, and I'm going to do a lot. Do mejor do, I'm going to do a lot. So I'm going to have Hab. The second would be Hab. In the third case, we're talking, I'm going to get a degree, then a master's, a doctorate, a postdoctorate. I'm going to have many degrees. Therefore, I'm going to feel good, recognized, happy. That would be the sixth one. Would that be the end? Therefore, the person, if you observe, you can observe yourself. Ultimately, this is a personal exercise. It's feeling that the person is really stuck in their life. You can think about yourself. Let's go. I'll talk to you. Do you feel stuck, as I mentioned at the start of the class video? You feel that, for example, you have dreams and you want to achieve them, and you do a lot, and you don't feel good about yourself, or on the contrary. Or you think that until you have that thing you want, the car, the degree, the career, the job you want, but then until I have that, my happiness is subjected to the fact that I don't have it. You have to self-evaluate and reflect. So you think about whether you are someone who it's if I have the degree, when I have the degree. For example, you work as a waiter or waitress, and you are studying law, for example. You say, well, when I have the degree, then I will look for a job that matches what I love, which is law. It could be another subject, it could be art, it could be anything. I mean, teaching, anything. What are you doing? Are you putting it first, like when I have the degree or when I become famous? regarding art, do you mean the first case I mentioned? When I have the degree, that's when I'll start working. That would be the duo. And that's when I'll feel happy with myself when I make my dream come true, becoming a lawyer, teacher, and artist. Is that what's holding you back? Why? Because if you're a waiter or waitress, for example, I mean, you're in a perfect job. If you love being a waiter or waitress, that's perfect, that's great. But if you feel frustrated with your job, whatever it is, an office worker, whatever you do, if you feel frustrated because you're doing something you don't want to do, because you're waiting to have something else, or when you feel that way, that's when you'll start to change. When your life, your being changes, when your feelings change, then you'll do things differently. That's not right. Obviously, that's not, because it keeps you stuck in a situation you don't want, or the other way around. Not have, but do. You say, no, I'm going to study. Like I told you before, I'm going to study. I'm going to have a first. And you study, really you study and you get your first degree. And instead of feeling happy with your first degree and really being happy, you say, I didn't get to the first degree until I have the master's. I don't feel good about myself. And then the master's comes. Do you feel good a little? Very good. I have the degree, but you say I won't feel good until I have the doctorate. You make yourself submit. You make your life, your being, your happiness depend on what you have. You do a lot, do a lot. You get a lot, have. It's never enough and you're never happy. Therefore, let's go back to the case of Carmen Herrera and the case we're talking about regarding you. Obviously, you have to reflect on yourself. You'll see if Carmen Herrera had a life as an artist, very, 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 very complete. She was an artist from beginning to end, from beginning to end. Her art didn't depend on what others thought. Therefore, she had a life of being an artist. Therefore, she had a right to do her best, to make her art without depending on anything external. And at 89 years old, she had a have, which is getting the recognition that might not have come. Success didn't come, but it might not have come. Therefore, now I want to go to the example of, for example, the waiter, the waitress, or the job that you have. Can you feel frustrated with that? That is, if you say, when I have the degree, then I'll change jobs. That is, when I get what I want. Then I'll do something different, and that's when I'll feel happy. Is that a mistake for you now? That's what I've been saying from the start. You have to change the way you think. You have to see what kind of life you want to have. You have to tell yourself. So, for example, an exercise that is now an exercise for someone else, is this practical, also a practical exercise? You could say, let's suppose that today you feel frustrated at work, so your life, your being is a sad, frustrated being. So, as an exercise, you can say the following to yourself. Let's suppose I feel happy, I feel fulfilled. You have to get everything that's making you feel frustrated out of your mind and your heart in the exercise. In a quiet moment, let's suppose I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. Let's suppose, what would I do now? What would I do? What would you do now? Thinks Carmen Herrera. She was happy as a painter. She made a lot of art, like 60 years producing art without success. Let's say I'm happy, and there you can obviously put whatever you want. I'm happy as an artist or as a person, with my family, with my friends, each one in their own situation, in their own context. What would I do now? And really do what you understand you have to do. Obviously, do good things, of course, but don't let your doing, your actions depend on what you have, what you get, on those external things. Whether it comes or not, that's not up to you. Therefore, now we're going to go to a much deeper level, much deeper, which is the following. Before we continue with this level, I want to dedicate my class to success, of a very dear organization to me called Israel High. Thank you. So both for the rap, Miguel, and for the whole team. Israel High. I want to dedicate this class to the success of Israel High, for everyone who is connected to Israel High, for all the members of Israel High. It's a very large Bogoyan community. I'm part of it. I'm a reference for this community, which is very dear to me. And I really want to dedicate the success to Israel High and everything that has to do with Israel High. Obviously, for the success and blessing of the whole world, God willing. Now, you may be wondering, how are you dedicating a video? Can I dedicate a video? Maybe you're wondering, can I dedicate a video for someone I care about, or for myself, or for something good? I have good news for you. Recently, thanks to God, we started something that I believe is an incredible blessing, which is the possibility to spread our teachings to the whole world. So it's amazing how here in the video description you have a link and it explains it to you there, but basically it's amazing. Think about it. For example, if you have a friend who's having a birthday and you want to give him a surprise gift, a video made just for him, or someone getting married, or for someone's health, someone's success, whatever you want. Obviously, in my words, I'm basically a spokesperson for what you ask me to dedicate this video explicitly and particularly exclusively for you or for the person you want. So, well, here we are, and this is with a lot of love for Iseljai, my beloved community, Iseljai. Well, let's continue, so we're going to go a little deeper, or much deeper, which is that many times we really reach a point where we don't know exactly what is best for us. What would be the right do, the right action, or the be? What be should I have? There are things like intuition, sure, but what should you study, or what degree do you need? So when we somehow try, we evaluate that that's very good. You have to have introspection, evaluate, reflect, of course, but there's a point where you say, I'm not really sure. It's sometimes the thinking of Lyonen. The most important thing, which is to include your connection with God, the Creator who loves you and creates you every moment and knows you much better than you know yourself. And that's the moment to really talk and ask for help and ask for guidance. You have to know that God, the Creator, that's obviously Kabbalah. Jewish wisdom is full of teachings about this topic, and unfortunately, many people don't know it. The Creator God is with us here instantly, watching over us right here, every millimeter we move. God the Creator supervises it with infinite love, endless embrace, and constant divine supervision. Whether we're awake or asleep, God's total love is with us right now. And God wants our success much more than we could ever dream for our own success. That is to say, God loves us much more, as our sages explain, like an older married couple who suddenly have a child. What incredible joy after so many years of waiting. God loves you here, you, each one of us and all of us. He loves you much more than that couple who had that long-awaited child after so many years. And God trusts you, and here's the key. God trusts you. On one hand, He loves you, and God trusts you, and God expects the best from you. This is what we call free will. What does it mean that God gives you a master key, which is your ability to choose? And God decides to need you in His world. God decides that you can fix His world. In Hebrew, tikkun olam means repairing the world, correcting this material world, and bringing it to an incredible spiritual level, above the worlds of the angels. This world is the lowest of the worlds, but it can potentially reach above the worlds of the angels. Why do we have the gift of choice? There is a verse in the Bible that says in Hebrew, and you shall choose life. God puts life and death before us, good and evil, and tells us, you shall choose life. He gives us the possibility to choose, and that's incredible. And therefore, this is advice from our wise Kabbalists, which is to speak with God every day in our own words, not necessarily being eloquent, but speaking with an open heart. What hurts us, what we like, what we want, and what we want to do. Obviously, what is it that we want to do? Our mission in life? To do the will of God, the Creator, with great joy in our hearts, to bring much joy to God, the Creator, to bring joy to ourselves, to those around us, and to the whole world. Do it better. Therefore, fulfilling your mission in life is the greatest thing, and with joy, and to do it better, to correct this world. So, as we discussed earlier, BDH relates to neuroscience and neuro-linguistic programming, Neuro-linguistic, you must use it flawlessly, yet also link it to the spiritual realm. Pray to God for help and guidance. To be exact in our mission, not just something random, think about it. A ship that has to go from one point to another needs a map, it needs a compass, exactly from which point to which point, right? More or less like that. We want to be able to carry out our mission in the world in an exact and perfect way. May we have the merit, God willing? I also want to mention that if you haven't joined my Israel High community yet, you still have the chance to be part of this amazing group. Here too, the video description includes the link, uniform resource locator, and explanations. I have a personal community WhatsApp number where you can ask me questions and connect with me and the community. Members enjoy, God willing, amazing courses. We are several leaders, meetings on the internet, like I told you, a community WhatsApp where you can ask me questions, a weekly calendar of activities. God willing, you'll feel embraced by the community, so I invite you to join. The link is below in the video. May you have much, much success, many blessings, and may we have the merit at every moment of our lives for many, many days and many years to live a meaningful life, to fulfill our mission in life with much joy, a good heart, success, and blessings.